Welcome back and thanks for staying with the agenda. DA leader John Steenhuisen, you saw him earlier on, adamant that he will not apologize for some of the party's messages on its local government election posters. This despite the DA in KwaZulu-Natal coming under fire on social media for its controversial poster in Phoenix, north of Durban. The party being accused of fueling racial divisions in the community of Black and Indian residents in the area after blaming the ANC for the situation. We're joined now live by the national spokesperson of the African National Congress, Mr. Pule Mabe. A very good morning to you and thank you so much for making the time to talk to us. I don't know if you were watching that crossing, Mr. John Steenhuisen saying he will not apologize. How's the ANC reacting to these developments?
Well, a morning of Desiree and a morning to your viewers. It is quite concerning that under these conditions in the country, we will still have leaders of political parties coming out and wanting to pursue racial profiling of some of these incidences where lives of ordinary people were lost. It cannot be that when all of us signed a pledge to participate in free and fair elections, we will also be found wanting when we are supposed to be contributing towards the unity of all our people. We have already advised comrades of the African National Congress who are part of the relevant liaison committees to also check with the IEC if the conduct of the DA is not going against the electoral code of conduct in terms of how parties are expected to really carry themselves under these conditions.
The posters read, the ANC called you racist, the DA calls you heroes. What specifically are you finding problematic about these posters?
Well, who are these heroes that they are referring to? Because it is very important that we locate the statements that are being made by the DA within their rightful context. Because where we are now, we can't be tolerant of such statements which seeks to advance racial polarization in communities that were engulfed by what happened on those fateful days of July. What we should all be doing is to, in Phoenix and everywhere else in the country, is to advocate for peace, for tranquility, and for our people to work together as we go into these elections. No political party must advance slogans that can only divide our people further and undermine efforts that have been taken by whether it's civil society formations, faith-based formations, civic movements, political organizations, to try and bring the people of Phoenix closer to each other. We need unity. We need to go into these elections in a more peaceful environment, so that at the end of it all, when outcomes of these elections are pronounced, we could all sit back and say, indeed, these elections were free and fair, and they were not used to deepen or advance hatred amongst each other.
Have you had a moment to introspect on the ANC's responses to the so-called Phoenix massacre, and if there is something to answer to in terms of stoking racial tensions in that community?
Well, the structure of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal has already issued a statement yesterday calling on citizens to isolate those involved in racial slurs and racist campaigning, dealing specifically with the posters of the DA. Because the ANC, as a self-respecting and responsible organization, understands the role that it has to play towards uniting our people in KwaZulu-Natal and everywhere else in the country.
So what, as you say, you're going to be approaching the IEC, but what's the way forward in terms of conversations? Because racism is a problem in South Africa.
Yeah, well, we did say, and we said that our relevant liaison committees should conduct the necessary investigations to check if statements being made by the DA do not constitute an undermine of the very electoral code of conduct that political parties have submitted to and agreed to uphold. Very important, but also a conversation that we must all have at all material times is what we do to deepen the unity that we want in society across political divide. Because it cannot be that a political party that claims to be doing things better where it leads goes and want to, be the one that advances racial polarization in society, especially where we are now, given the kind of history that we come from as South African people.
Journalists in the morning were asking Mr. Steenhuisen if he's going to apologize. Would that make a difference if he did?
Well, when a leader takes responsibility of certain utterances that they will have made in public, which are not in keeping with the overall mood of the public, our people tend to accept that, because you see, by apologizing, you are actually showing that you too are appreciating that the statements you have made undermine the very unity of our people, goes against a peaceful environment of campaigning.
Pule Mabe, thank you so much for your time this morning. Pule Mabe is the national spokesperson of the African National Congress.